Hey, welcome to the Hutcheson House. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am Leah Marlene. I am an acting teacher. I'm a behavior analyst and expert for the past 11 years. Today, we are going to analyze Drunky Kamala's behavior because Drunky Kamala is at it again. And if she isn't drunk, something's amiss. I'd almost feel better if she was drunk, to be honest with you. But let's watch this together. I've only seen little clips. First, I like this freeze frame of this student just waiting for her to come to the stage. She's like, oh boy, what's gonna happen? And maybe she loves Kamala, maybe she doesn't. But right here in this behavior, still shot, this student doesn't know what kind of bag of worms she's gonna open. And a bag of worms is a whole different thing than a can of worms. So let's see what kind of bag of worms we got here in Kamala Town. Watch this.
Good morning, everyone. Have a seat, please. Good morning. Oh
boy. Right off the bat, this is very interesting. This strikes me as a really bad open mic, right? This is the worst open mic that you've ever been to. And they're like, let's give it up for Kamala. And then she's like, yay, yowza. And this is our current vice president of the United States, not of middle school class. Yeah, about everything. My daughter, she said when Trump had the YMCA and the Proud to Be an American song, she said, what is Kamala's song? Is it I'm proud to be a narcissist, or at least I know I'm mean? Okay, let's keep it moving, Kamala's.
Oh, I just love seeing all of our young leaders. You know, when I look at all of you, I know and I feel so strongly the future of our country is bright. It is bright because of all of you. And I want to thank Lauren for her kind words and her commitment to your community, Lauren, and for the example you are setting. It is so good to see all of you. So, you know what? So let me start with just what has happened actually yesterday before I begin my other comments about the horrific shooting yesterday in Madison, Wisconsin. Of course, it's another school shooting, another community being torn apart by gun violence. And of course, our nation mourns.
I got to stop right away because this is, the young kids say, cringe fest. First of all, notice how nobody clapped when she's like, you guys, you're bright, shining stars. And I believe that they are. I mean, I believe that, but it's so disingenuous. And people know the truth. It's like when I'm teaching acting, there's a lot of bad actors out there. But if somebody's just really beautiful, we put up with it. There's a lot of bad acting. Some people even like bad acting. It's just like bad food. It's a taste preference. But people know the truth. If you want to watch bad acting, you can just turn it on mute and you can tell nobody's listening to each other. And they're just a pretty face, maybe, right? Or a handsome guy or whatever it is. But the good actors, you turn it on mute and you can tell they're connected, they're listening, they're genuine, and you believe them. You forget that they're acting. Well, when you're doing a presentation, it, in a sense, is like you're acting. But one of the hardest jobs is to actually act like yourself. You know, they're like, be authentic, but you're like, this is totally inauthentic, you know, just act natural. And it automatically isn't natural. When you have cameras in your face, it's automatically natural. So it's actually really hard when somebody plays themselves very well. It's actually hard to do because it requires you to be totally authentic. It requires you to maybe be a little messy. It requires you to be like Donald Trump. You know, you might say something that's pulled out of context because it's not all scripted. Now, Kamala, it's such an act all the time that you can feel the disingenuous nature of the way she comes at it. And it tells me right off the bat, because most people would clap or something like, yay, you know, the vice president of the United States believes in us. But they're like, really? Okay, we don't really want your vote of confidence. But what I really want to watch is how she actually is almost, I hate to say this because it's so disappointing, but you can just see it. She's almost excited about this horrific tragedy. And why is it that we didn't hear anything about her from the young, beautiful 7-year-old girl who was hit by a drunk Venezuelan gang member and he took her life. Hear about that because it doesn't with her rhetoric, right? So she didn't come out and talk about that. We had a shooting here, well, millions of them just yesterday. Recently, she didn't talk about that. She didn't talk about the people's lives who've been lost in shootings and school shooting. But this one is important because for her, this goes along the line of her politics. It helps her politics. And that is so disingenuous. And it's really disappointing. Honestly, it's very disappointing in a leader. It's disappointing in anybody, but especially somebody who's supposed to be a leader of our country. Watch.
I begin my other comments about the horrific shooting yesterday in Madison, Wisconsin. Of course, it's another school shooting, another community being torn about and torn apart by gun violence. And of course, our nation mourns for those who were killed, and we pray for the recovery of those who were injured and for the entire community. But look, as we hold our loved ones close this holiday season, we as a nation must renew our commitment to end the horror of gun violence, both mass shootings and everyday gun violence that touches so many communities in our nation.
Okay, so it was subtle, but she got like a little moment of glee, and also the fact that she had to say, but she couldn't just have that be a complete sentence. I am so sorry for the loss. I've mentioned this before in her various speeches. It's always a scolding. It's never true compassion and empathy because that's what narcissists do. It's just what they do. Narcissists lack empathy. They'll fake it. They've learned how to fake it because they know that that's what's expected. So that's why she's even, talking about it. Other than that, it also fits with her political rhetoric. But it comes on the heels of a scolding. She can't just say, full stop, it's a tragedy. She says, it's a tragedy, but, right? Let me go on with what my agenda is. By the way, other people have mentioned this, and I think it's a very good point. It was a handgun that was used, and which is terrible. She talks about she has a Glock, so she's in full support of Glocks. She says she has one. She says if somebody entered her house, she would shoot them. That's what Kamala said. So this young person who did this heinous crime had a handgun. So the whole thing is a moot point. How is she going to put a stop to it? Is she going to stop the rhetoric of championing? I never can say that word. This is a serious topic. I can never say that word. I don't know why I use it. But people are celebrating people who commit these type of crimes. So is she going to mention that? No, she's not going to mention that. Luigi is some kind of hero because it goes again, we should all go after the man if they're not doing something. No, that's not okay. And now some people will go, well, but that United Healthcare worker, he was representing everything that's bad. How do you specifically know? Were you in meetings with him? Do you know what he was doing? I mean, I'm not here to stand up for all the healthcare because I do think that there's some reform, but that doesn't mean you go out in the street and shoot somebody in their back and then celebrate that person and then shame somebody like Daniel Penny, who was protecting people on a subway train. Now, it's sad that that young man lost his mind. I heard that he had a lot of potential as an artist. That's sad to me. But the truth is he was threatening people. And so this man was protecting people. And yet, for some people, he's an enemy. And yet, somebody like Luigi is a hero. It's absolutely asinine. But it comes from leadership like this, unfortunately.
We must end it, and we must be committed to have the courage to know that solutions are in hand, but we need elected leaders to have the courage to step up and do the right thing.
Yeah, and you had no courage to step up and do the right thing at all. We have 32% uptick in the TDA gang. You haven't talked about that at all. You didn't talk about the stabbing that happened yesterday in Colorado. You're not mentioning that, and I highly doubt you will. I haven't seen this whole speech, but I highly doubt she'll mention it. Let's see. I want to back it up, and I just want you to notice what I had just mentioned about how from happy to this like disingenuous, but it's time to scold you. It's so disheartening. Her behavior is sickening to me.
And of course, our nation mourns for those who were killed, and we pray for the recovery of those who were injured and for the entire community. But look, as we hold our loved ones close this holiday season, we as a nation must renew our commitment to end the horror of gun violence, both mass shootings and everyday gun violence that touches so many communities in our nation. We must end it, and we must be committed to have the courage to know that solutions are in hand, but we need elected leaders to have the courage to step up and do the right thing. With that, I will return to the reason we are here today. And I first want to thank all of the incredible leaders who are with us, including Governor Moore, my dear friend, your extraordinary Lieutenant Governor Miller.
This is not cool. And she doesn't mention it at all. It would give her some credibility if she at least mentioned what happened yesterday in Colorado. But she doesn't. She only mentions the things that she feels will serve her. And then also, it's a little bit of a scolding for us to not feel good this holiday over Christmas, because she loves that. Remember that one speech she gave where she was like, I will not say Merry Christmas, and she wanted to have a ban on Merry Christmas. Well, even there's a lot of horrors happening in the world, and much of them due to Kamala and Biden's policies, unfortunately, we're all going to have a Merry Christmas because she doesn't control us in that manner. And even when there's terrible things, it's very important to remember what is really, really significant in life. And that is your friends and family. Her and Joy Reid, they want to separate us from our loved ones. You remember Joy when she said not to hang out with your family on Thanksgiving if they disagree with you? It's just insanity, and it's sad to me. It brings me a little speechless.
All the young leaders who are here, I thank you for your service. Because look, each one of you has decided to dedicate yourself to the work of service, the work of lifting up the condition of other people who often you may never meet. The work you do in service will affect people who for the most part will never know your names, but their lives, because of your work and your dedication, will forever be touched in a positive way. You know, I do believe that public service is a noble calling. It is noble work. And it is an expression of optimism, which is you know and believe, and it is being verified to each of you every day, that the work you do that can lift people up has effect. It matters. Our work is about the optimism that comes with knowing that one individual can make a difference in the lives of so many people.
Now, I agree with her on that. However, she doesn't do that. She doesn't do that at all. The work that her and Biden have done has harmed millions of Americans. They have created a division that is so sad. Now, some people are waking up to it, but her word salads and her platitudes, they sound nice, but she has nothing to back it up, because we know that she has put us in harm's way financially, emotionally, because of our safety, our health, because she's allowed fentanyl to pour into the country. So we do know that one person can make a huge effect. But unfortunately, in her case, it's in a negative manner, not a positive one. Many of us haven't even been able to afford groceries the past 4 years. I wish what she was saying meant that she actually cared about people, but I don't think it does. In the last 4 years, her and Biden haven't cared for the mass majority of Americans.
Impact you have on our nation and by extension, the world. So today I came by to express my gratitude. You know, over the past several weeks since the election, I have received tens of thousands of letters from people across our nation. Many of them young.
Many of them wanted their money back. Is that what? Oh, no, not that. Or many of them wanted to get paid like Oprah and her camp, or what?
Americans from every walk of life, people of every age, race, faith, and political party. These letters share a common theme. Yes, there is disappointment, but there is also resolve for the future.
Yes, there is resolve for the future. That's why we voted for Donald Trump, Kamala. That's why we voted for him. You still don't get it, do you? What would be wonderful, and it would make me go, wow. Okay. I mean, I still wouldn't be happy about the last 4 years. I'm going to forgive. I'm working on forgiveness because when you don't forgive, it only harms you. It's like taking poison and wishing the other person died. That was some famous quote by some famous person, right? But it's true. You got to forgive. And this isn't a Bible study, but in the Bible, it says you forgive 70,000 times over. You keep forgiving. But that doesn't mean that you make it okay what they did. I have forgiveness for her, but our resolve is that we're going to go in a positive direction with real joy, with real optimism, because there's a real plan for the future that's going to get us out of this mess. And that gives me great optimism because it's factual and it's backed up by real action. Donald Trump has done more in the past few weeks than her and Biden in a positive manner. Her and Biden have done in the last 4 years. They've done a lot of things to harm us.
One letter in particular stands out, which I'll share with you. A young woman named Sasha writes, quote, "There is nothing in the world that will take away my drive, energy, passion, and the destiny that I have to help the people of our country." And I think any one of you, as Sasha, could be, right? Nothing's going to take away that drive, that energy, that commitment. So Sasha, like all of you, inspire me. Young people who are rightly impatient for change. I love that about you. Impatient for change.
Yeah, we are. We are impatient for change. I cannot wait until Donald Trump gets into office next month. Oh, wait, I'm not like a super young person. But did you know Donald Trump got more young people voted for Trump than ever in Republican history? That's phenomenal. A lot of it has to do with Barron Trump because he had him do podcasts like Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan because Barron knew. He's like, Dad, you got to do these. And it was amazing. And as Trump says, it was kind of cute. It is cute. It's awesome. It's amazing. So yes, I agree with this. It's just not you, Kamala. And so what would give her some credibility, what I was going to say is that if she was like, you know what, Donald Trump's going to be a great president because you know why? He is our president. And so let's put the faith and optimism that this is going to be a wonderful thing. That would be great, but she would never do that, right? But to give her a little bit of credit, he wouldn't do that to her because she hasn't. She's hurt us. She's hurt us. We can't even afford eggs and milk. Can't feel safe walking down the street. There's shootings all the time. This isn't good. This isn't the America that I grew up in. This isn't even the America that it was 4 years ago. This is a direct effect of her and her policies. So yes, I'm going to work on forgiveness, but this is just a bunch of gobbledygook. I mean, come on. And did she really memorize that quote? I mean, obviously she's reading off a teleprompter. There's no way she could memorize that quote. I don't believe it.
Who will not let anyone or any circumstance defeat your spirit or your sense of purpose. You will not allow your spirit or your sense of purpose to be defeated. You who have, I think, by your actions adopted some advice my mother gave me a long time ago. She would say to me, Kamala, don't just complain about what is wrong, do something about it.
Look at her. Don't just complain about what is wrong, make it worse. Make it a whole lot worse. What'd you get, hit in the head by a coconut? I'm sorry. I'm going to try to play nice.
Make it right. That's a life you all are living. You reflect the best of the America I have seen, be it during the campaign, during my 4 years as vice president, and throughout my life. An America where we recognize that we are all in this together, that no matter our background, we share the same dreams, aspirations, and ambitions for ourselves, that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. That is our knowledge.
So why have you spent 4 years trying to separate us? Why did you make it all about race and gender? Why did you try to attack people who are successful so much so that you've made it okay by many people? They think it's okay to target a CEO of a company. Just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean that you become a vigilante. She's created this. She's created and stirred the fires of this kind of propaganda. And then she tries to come in and act like she's the savior or something. No, Kamala, no. It's so absurd that she thinks. Does she really believe this stuff? Does she really think she's the voice of optimism?
An America where we are guided by the ideals that have always defined us when we are at our best: dignity and decency, fairness.
See, and here's where she gets mad. It's like, why are you so mad about it? Why are you so mad about dignity and fairness? It's so funny because when you really watch her and you study her behavior, she gets mad when she's talking about these type of things. Dignity and fairness, that should be a wonderful thing. But this irritates her because she doesn't really stand for dignity and fairness. No, not at all.
An America where we recognize that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, it's based on who you lift up.
Yeah, that's true. The strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. And who you've lifted up, Kamala, for the past 4 years are the criminals. You've supported them full steam ahead. The people that you've beat down are American citizens, hardworking people, people that just want to provide, people that just want safety, health, and well-being. You've called us racist. You've called Trump fascist. You've called him Hitler. You've said that he's a threat to democracy. How is that building anybody up? How? Biden has now preemptively and actually pardoned up to 1,500 people. Some of them were Chinese spies. Why? Some of them were pedophiles with hundreds of documents of pedophilia on their computer. Those are the people that you have been lifting up. The people that you have been tearing down are good-hearted American citizens and the immigrants who've come here legally and been waiting in line, doing it the proper way. And then they were steamrolled by these people who came in illegally, and many of them criminals. So we know exactly who you've been lifting up and who you've been tearing down. And that is the measure of who you are. And that's why you lost this election, Kamala. If you came out here and said, you know what, I've actually learned a lot in the past few weeks. And something that I've noticed is I was living in fear. I was living in fear and believing my own lies. And I don't believe Donald Trump is a fascist. I don't believe he's Hitler, and he's not a threat to our democracy. So let's cool it on that, because I was wrong in never saying that. But she wouldn't say that. She would never say that. Now that would be actually standing for America. That would actually be lifting us all up, and I would have a lot of respect for her if she did something like that. But we know she won't, and she wouldn't.
The story of America's progress, you all know history. The story of America's progress, when we have made progress, in many ways is the story of people who stayed true to their ideals, even in the face of difficulty. The story of Americans who,
the story of Americans who didn't want to be ramrodded by your policies, but you were like, no, I'm holding fast to the ideals of tearing America down, to trying to harm the spirit of good citizens. That was your ideal for the past 4 years. And thank God, majority of Americans woke up to it. They saw through the lies. You thought that you had it in the bag, Kamala, because you had all of mainstream media on your side. But Americans are much smarter than you give us credit for. And we do have a much bigger heart than you give us credit for. You have been fueling hate for 4 years, but good-hearted Americans saw through the BS and the rhetoric, and we voted for real change. And Donald Trump has the most amazing comeback story in all of American history thus far. He's a real inspiration. He has been beat down. You beat that man down so much, most people would not have survived that, let alone 2 assassination attempts, making fun of him right after the fact. This man didn't even take a day off of work after getting shot in his ear. You made fun of that. You never apologized. You never said, oh my gosh, I hope he's okay. Prayers for Donald Trump. No, you steamed up the rhetoric. You beat him down. You wanted him in prison. You wanted to attack your political opponent. You did everything that you said he was doing. You have been the threat to our democracy, Kamala, unfortunately. Like Donald Trump said, what did he do to threaten democracy? He took a bullet for democracy. She's so phony. It's almost unbearable to watch.
Yes, faced disappointment, but did not grow weary. Did not grow weary. Who faced setbacks, but did not give up. People who refused to let the light of America's promise dim or burn out in moments of challenge. The movements for civil rights, women's rights, workers' rights, the United States.
What women's rights? Again, aim higher. The only women's rights that I kept hearing her talk about were abortion rights, which, by the way, is left up to the states. So all of that was a lie. All of it was a lie because he's not taking away any rights. Trump is not taking away any rights. That's why millions of Americans, including women, voted for Trump, because we know that. And we know that for our daughters and for people that we love, I'm aiming much higher than hoping my daughter can get as many abortions in any state she wants. No, I have much bigger dreams for my daughter than that. That is setting the bar extremely low. It's very, very sad. So yes, we haven't given up our light. We might not have been able to afford lights the last 4 years, but we still haven't given up our lights inside, because you didn't give that to us, Kamala. That was God-given. So even if we could only afford one apple instead of two, as my dad always said, we just keep on keeping on. That's the American spirit. But man, oh man, have we been beat down by you, Kamala, for 4 years.
Of America itself would never have come to be if people had given up their cause after a court case or a battle or an election did not go their way.
Okay, now that was funny, because no, Trump went from mugshot to big shot, okay? Because he did not let it get him down. This man is rock solid. And now all those cases, he's winning. And now he's suing for defamation of character because you guys lied and lied and lied. Mainstream media lied and lied and lied, but he kept going. And that's why he is the man. He doesn't just deserve Time Magazine Man of the Year. He deserves Man of the Century. This man is so rock solid. I don't know anybody in this time right now that would be better suited for the job of President of the United States than Donald Trump. I am so impressed and inspired by this man. So see, now she's twisting everything. But really, this is what Donald Trump did. He didn't let it get him down. Even though you guys stole the election from him, you cheated. He came back in the greatest comeback of all time. Too big to rig. They tried to cheat this time, but it's too big to rig. I heard that they're still counting votes in San Diego. And you're telling me that you're not conceding, you're conceding the election, but you're not in many ways. Some people are planning a thing at the inauguration. It's awful. And then you say January 6th, January 6th. Do you know how many innocent people were there? And do you know how many people were actually planted there to make it look like Trump supporters that were harming people? And that wasn't even the truth. But you can't even get the truth out because you'll be censored. That is beating people down. But our spirit shines much brighter than that. I'm so impressed by the American spirit now more than ever, because the truth shall set you free. If he was all the things that you kept insisting he was, Kamala, he wouldn't have won, because the majority of American people are really good people. They really are. But you don't actually know that or believe that. Everything you say is either word salad platitude, projection, gaslighting. It's absurd, really.
What Sasha wrote and what we here know is that in moments like this, the true test of our character is how resilient and persistent we are to pursue the future that we all can see. The true test of our commitment is whether in the face of an obstacle, do we throw up our hands or do we roll up our sleeves? As we then approach the end of this year, many people have come up to me telling me they feel tired, maybe even resigned. Folks who have said to me that they're not sure whether they have the strength, much less the desire, to stay in the fight.
Now would be a perfect opportunity for her to say, stop fighting. Now is the time for peace. But we know that's not what she stands for. We know that she wants us divided.
Let me be very clear. No one can walk away. No one can walk away. We must stay in the fight. Every one of us, including the fight for an economy that works, not just for those at the top, but for working people, for all Americans. The fight to make sure everyone has a fair shot to pursue their ambitions. The fight for our ideals.
Yes, Kamala, yes, and yes. That's why you lost, because you don't stand for any of that. You're so disconnected from us working folk. You keep using the folk to try to make it like you understand us, but you do not. And now you're encouraging the people who kept believing all your lies to keep believing your lies, to keep fighting for what? How about stand for peace? That's why we voted for Donald Trump, because we want peace. World leaders are so happy. They're all calling him now because they're excited for the opportunity for peace.
Including the equality among us, the freedoms to which we are entitled, the dignity that we possess and is possessed by every one of us. So we must stay in the fight, because that is the responsibility, in my opinion, that comes with the privilege of being an American. And that responsibility has always then fueled the American experiment. In our country, you see, the recognition that we are all created equal with certain fundamental rights and freedoms, the belief that here in our country anything is possible, the promise of America itself is a powerful yet fragile idea.
Yeah, and you giving away America to criminals has been a powerful example of how little you care for us.
It's inspired billions of people and made it possible.
Yeah, made it possible for billions of people to come in here illegally and harm many of us. That little American experiment to take us down from the inside is coming to an end. And I hope people do choose peace over the hate that you continually encourage them to have for the rest of us who just want health and well-being and safety for all, and the ability to make money and provide. I hope at some point you can find in your heart, like the Grinch stole all the Christmas presents, yet people still had that spirit inside. And he thought, wow, I guess it isn't about all the things. I hope that maybe just like the Grinch, Kamala, that you can see, even though you've stripped us of so much, that we still have that spirit. And maybe you'll choose peace over hate and division. And maybe you will encourage your base to do the same. Because what you keep encouraging is more division and more hate. And that little American experiment has gone terribly wrong.
Become the strongest, most prosperous nation in the world, yet fragile. Because that idea is only as strong as our willingness to fight for it. Only as strong as our faith that we, the people, are the ones who make it real. So I will say this as we close out this year. I ask of you this, that those here and anyone watching, that you will not walk away, that you will stay true to your spirit and your sense of purpose, that you will continue to fight for the promise of America. And I ask you to remember the context in which you exist. Yeah, I did that.
See, she can't even take herself seriously. In the context in which you exist on planet Earth. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, for a second there, I thought I was actually encouraging people. No, no, no. Keep fighting, keep hating, keep believing the lies. That's what I meant to say. That's the context I hope you get that my whole speech has been about. Yeah, we got it, Kamala, we got that. We got it. It's hysterical.
I ask you to remember that this struggle is not new.
Well, not really. It goes back the last 4 years. That's how long the struggle. It's been really bad. The last 4 years have been really bad. I'm so excited for this to change. I'm so excited.
To Lexington and Concord, generation after generation, it has been driven by those who love our country, cherish its ideals, and refuse to sit passive while our ideals are under assault.
But you were the one assaulting them. I mean, this is like famous gaslighting, famous projection. She says everything that she's been doing.
Of America's promise and to ensure it burns bright, well, this fight now, it continues with you. You.
See, there she goes. There she goes. She wants us all to turn on each other. I mean, that's what they had been creating. That was the experiment that Obama started. And they were really disappointed that Kamala didn't finish it off. So she's encouraging the people, keep on hating, keep on being divisive, keep on spreading the lies. That's what she wants. And then she says it in the name of the light. No, because see, she doesn't say anything about common sense policies. She has been the vice president, but she's done nothing to help us. But what she does is encourage people to continue hating. I'm so grateful once again that people have seen through this.
Its heirs. We are its heirs. So I'll end with this. Get some rest over the holidays. Spend time with the people you love. You know, I believe family comes in many forms. There's family by...
Okay, did you see how she's shaking her head no? She's like, hang out with the people you love. Just as long, nope, don't. Especially if they voted for Trump, do not. That's what she's saying. Nope. Why can't she just be like, hang out with people that you love? Yes. Be together with people that you disagree with. But she's going, nope. It's hilarious. So sometimes real behavior just comes through. And she's not that good of an actress.
Blood and there's family by love. I urge you then after.
Oh, okay. That makes sense because now she's not the people that you were born and raised with. No. Of course, forget them, especially if they voted for Trump. Do not be around them. Be around the people who all believe the lies and want to fight and continue with the division. Be around those people. See, it's the subtext with Kami Mommy, Mamala. She's not my Mamala. And I'm so grateful that we don't have to call her Madam President. Madam President. Talk about kiss the ring. Dear Lord.
You have had some rest. In fact, I challenge you to come back ready to chart our path to the future. Chin up, shoulders back. Forever impatient for change. And like Sasha, ready to summon your drive, your energy, your passion to help our fellow Americans and be ready to get back to work, fighting for opportunity and freedom, fighting for fairness and dignity, and fighting for this country we love.
Oh, we are. But we're coming together in peace now, Kamala, because this horrible nightmare of 4 years is coming to an end. And why is it gotta be Sasha? Why is her little story gotta be about Sasha? Notice she didn't say Elizabeth. I bet if Elizabeth's like, hey, that was my letter. I've been feeling this fight all along, and and spewing your rhetoric. Why'd you change my name in the letter to Sasha? It was Elizabeth. Elizabeth doesn't fit. We're gonna go with Sasha. No, it's cool. It's cool. I like Sasha. Sasha's a good name, but it's all deliberate. It's all just very perfect, isn't it?
And the future we share. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
She's like, let's have a drink. She never used to say God bless America. Isn't that funny? Like only during her campaign did she start saying God bless America. I love that expression. I say it all the time. But I never heard Kamala say that until just in the last few months. She's like, God bless you. God bless America. I got to bring God into this thing. Really? God's been telling me not to do any of this because God actually is the light. God actually is the way. She wanted to take God out of everything, everything. What do you think of that speech? Please let me know. If you found value here, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.